So, Act 5, Scene 1 is the last scene of this last act. And this act concludes the play in an atmosphere of peace and joy. See, in this scene, we'll find that Portia and Nerissa, they come back home, and Bassanio, Antonio, and Greciano, they also come back. And then, there is a kind of, a sort of comic scene is there when, which is also known as ring episode. Okay, because Portia and Nerissa, they try to blame their husbands that they have given the ring to some women and how they swear. And then, in a way, actually, the ring episode also reaches its climax in this scene only. And later on, Portia makes some revelation. She tells about the identity of the lawyer, his clerk, and she also informs Antonio about his good fortune and the inheritance of Lorenzo and Jessica also. So all the loose ends which are there, they all are tied up. And the end is happy, aided by love, loyalty, and good sense of humor. So let's begin with Act 5, Scene 2. Act 5, Scene 2, of course, it takes place in Belmont. And there in Belmont, it takes place in Portia's house, avenue to Portia's house, right? Avenue is that open space, where the garden is there. So in this scene, the scene enter Lorenzo and Jessica, and the scene begins where with their conversation, and their conversation is a kind of romantic conversation where they are talking about different lovers, those who belong to history. So here are many historical references that have been given. So Lorenzo says, the moon shines bright. He is talking about the night, that the moon is very bright. In such a night as this, when the sweet wind did gently kiss the trees. Gently kiss the trees means touch the trees. When the sweet wind means the breeze touched the trees in such a beautiful night, and they did make no noise, and the breeze is so soft that when it touches the trees they do not make any noise. In such a night, Trollus, methinks means I think, in such a night I think, Trollus mounted the Trojan walls and sighed his soul toward the Grecian tents where Cressid lay that night. Cressid here refers to Cressida. Cressida was beloved of Trollus. Now let's understand the story of Trollus. Trollus was actually the son of King of Troy, right? So Trollus was the son of King of Troy. Now, this man actually was in love with Cressida. So, Troilus and Cressida were lovers, and they had exchanged vows of eternal fidelity, means they had promised each other for their eternal bonding. However, during the siege of Troy, there was a war of Troy, and in that Troy was sieged. Cressida was handed over to the Greeks in an exchange of some prisoners. So, that is why Troilus, he used to climb the Trojan walls, okay, walls of the Trojan city, and sighed his soul, means he used to feel very sad towards the Grecian tents. Grecian tents here refers to tents of Greeks, okay, tents of Greeks where Cressida lay that night. So for a long time, every night, Troilus used to stand on the walls of Troy looking at the Greek camps. Okay, so that is the example that Lorenzo gives, that that night when Troilus used to climb the Trojan walls must be the same kind of night as it is today. Jessica says, in such a night did Thisbe fearfully overtrip the dew, and saw the lion's shadow ere himself. Ere means before, himself here refers to her lover, and ran dismayed away. Now, Jessica also continues the conversation by giving example of another pair of lovers, and that is Thisbe. Thisbe and her lover Pyramus. Now, Thisbe was a Babylonian girl. Okay, she and her lover Pyramus were forbidden to meet by their parents. They were not allowed. So one day they arranged a meeting. They decided to meet in a forest. At that time, what happened? Thisbe saw a lion and fled, leaving her cloak behind. She saw a lion and she just got afraid and she just ran away from there. And while running away, the cloak that she was wearing, a kind of gown, open gown, so that was left over there. Now what happened? Pyramus came afterwards, and when he came over there, he saw that cloak which was blood stained, and he thought that Thisbe was dead. And what he did, he also committed suicide, he killed himself. After some time, Thisbe returned, she saw her lover's body, and she also killed herself. So both in a way became symbols of faithful lovers. So that is why the way Lorenzo gave the example of Troilus, who was a faithful lover, similarly, Jessica also gives another example of Thisbe and Pyramus, of Thisbe, that she was also a faithful lover. Okay, so that's what she says. That should have been same kind of night in which Thisbe fearfully overtripped the dew and saw the lion's shadow air himself before her lover and ran dismayed away. That should be the same kind of night in which she, by looking at the lion, she got afraid and she ran away from there. Now Lorenzo says, in such a night stood Dido with a willow in her hand upon the wild sea banks and wafted her love to come again to Carthage. Now Lorenzo gives another example, and the example he gives is of the love story of Aeneas and Dido. Okay, Aeneas was her lover, and Dido. So he says Aeneas was the Trojan warrior who founded the city of Rome. So during his journeys, he reached Carthage where he loved Queen Dido. After a long stay with her, he sailed away, leaving Dido heartbroken. So she killed herself out of grief. Okay, so that's what Willow. Willow is actually, you can say, holding a willow in her hand. Willow is actually the symbol of deserted love. Okay, so that's why it is said that that night should have been such a night where widow could be seen standing holding a willow in her hand upon the wild sea banks and waft her love. Waft means beckoned, called her love to come again to Carthage. Okay, so that is the example that has been given. She is also an example of faithful love. So Jessica says, in such a night, Midi gathered the enchanted herbs, and he did at that did renew old Aeson. So Jessica gives another example saying that in such a night, Midi. Now, please understand this reference. Jason, which you have already known about, you have read about Golden Fleece. Jason was the one who was able to get that Golden Fleece. So, Jason, a famous Greek hero, led an expedition to Colchis in search of gold ram's fleece, right? Midi, his wife, helped him to win the golden fleece. In addition to that, now here this reference is another reference. Besides, she gathered herbs of magical properties by night and administered them to Essen. Essen is her old father-in-law, aged father-in-law. Okay, so Elizabethans actually believed that certain herbs had magical properties if they are gathered by night. So that's what Jessica is referring to, that that night should be such a night in which Midi gathered the enchanted herbs, those magical herbs, herbs with magical properties that did renew old Aeson, which must have recovered old Aeson. Lorenzo says, in such a night did Jessica steal from the wealthy Jew, and with an unthrift love, steal from the wealthy Jew means, steal means ran away or rob, in a way. So, in both ways it is used, ran away and rob also, because she stole some jewels from her father's house. And with an unthrift love means love without money. Love without money, without profit, without money, did run from Venice as far as Belmont. Now, in this series of lovers, when they are giving examples of faithful lovers, Lorenzo count Jessica as well, and he says that that should have been the same kind of night when Jessica stole away from her father's house with her beloved who was without money, and they ran from Venice and as far as to Belmont. For that, Jessica says, in such a night did young Lorenzo swear he loved her well. That was the same kind of night in which Lorenzo swore that he loved her well, stealing her soul with many vows of faith. Vows means promises of faith. And in that way, he was able to win her heart with many promises of faith and never a true one. Now, she is being a bit, kiddish here. She's just trying to pull his leg, saying that none of the promises were true. For that, Lorenzo says, in such a night did pretty Jessica, like a little shrew means a shrewd person, like a little shrewd, slander her love, and he forgave it her. So, slander means accuse, blame her love, and he forgave it her. So, he says that it is such a night in which Jessica, like being shrewd, she is accusing her love, and he has forgiven her for that. Jessica says, I would outnight you, did nobody come. I would outnight you means I can carry on this conversation throughout the night, beat you in this game of making speeches about nights. Did nobody come? If nobody were here to interrupt us. But hark, listen, I I hear the footing of a man. Footing means footsteps of a man. So somebody must be coming over there. And who is that? That is Stefano, a messenger. So Lorenzo, who comes so fast in silence of the night? Stefano says, a friend. Lorenzo, a friend? What friend? Your name, I pray you, friend. Stefano is my name, and I bring word. Word here means message. And I bring a message. My mistress will, before the break of day, break of day means dawn, be here at Belmont. So I have come here to give a message that my mistress will be here before morning at Belmont. She doth stray about uh, by holy crosses. She strays about. Strays about means wanders about by wanders about by holy crosses. Holy crosses are actually roadside shrines, which are holy, of course, sacred roadside shrines with crosses to enable travelers to pray. So, where she kneels and prays for happy wedlock hours. Wedlock hours here means married life. So, she is very much nearby, and she is right now praying to these holy crosses for her married life. Okay, married life. Married hours here means married life. Lorenzo says, who comes with her? Stefano, none, but a holy hermit and her maid. Nobody else is there, just a hermit priest is there and her maid. I pray you, is my master yet returned? Has he returned? He is asking about Bassanio. Lorenzo says, he is not, nor we have not heard from him. Neither has he come, nor we have received any information about him. But go way in, I pray thee, Jessica, and ceremoniously let us prepare some welcome for the mistress of the house. So he says, Jessica, let us go inside and let us prepare a formal welcome to the mistress of the house. At that moment only, Lancelot, who is the clown, the fool, he comes over there, and he's always like, Sola, Sola, ho, ha, ha, Sola, Sola. He says, who sold? Who calls? Sola, did you see Master Lorenzo? Master Lorenzo? So he says, leave hallowing man. Here, I am here only. Lancelot, Sola, where? Here. Tell him there is a post. Post means messenger. There is a post come from my master, that is Bassanio, with his horn full of good news. My master will be here ere morning. Ere means before morning, sweet soul. And then by giving this information, Lancelot exits from there, that now Bassanio is also supposed to come, about to come. Lorenzo says to Jessica, let's go inside and there expect their coming. Expect means wait for their coming, wait for their arrival. And yet no matter, why should we go in? लेकिन क्या फर्क पड़ता है? No matter, doesn't matter. Why should we go in? हम अंदर क्यों जाएं? My friend Stefano, signify means announce. I pray you please announce within the house your mistress is at hand, and bring your music forth into the air. And bring your music forth means play some music in the open air. He says there is no need to go inside. He requests Stefano to inform everybody inside, means all servants and attendants, that the mistress is at hand. At hand means she is nearby, and He also instructs him to bring the music outside and let them play. The musicians should come outside and they should play the music there. Stefano exits. How sweet the moonlight sleeps upon this bank. Now they carry on with their conversation, and he says that how sweet the moonlight sleeps upon this bank here refers to the mound actually. Here will we sit and let the sounds of music creep in our ears. We'll sit here and let the sound of music creep in our ears, let it come into our ears. Soft stillness, stillness is the silence, soft silence, and the night become means suit. The touches of sweet harmony. Touches means notes of sweet harmony. Harmony here refers to music. This silence and night, they suit the notes of music. Said Jessica, look how the floor of heaven here refers to sky, how the sky is thickly inlaid. Thick inlaid means thickly decorated. Inlaid here means decorated with patterns of bright gold. With patterns here means small shiny pieces, small pieces of bright gold. Okay, so he is comparing the stars to patterns of bright gold, that is small pieces of bright gold, and he is calling sky as the floor of heaven. There is not the smallest orb. Orb here refers to planet. There is not the smallest planet which thou beholdest, which you are able to see, but in his motion, like an angel sings. But in his here refers to in its motion, because these planets are always revolving in their orbit. So, in its motion, like an angel sings. So, in the movements, actually, Elizabethans believed that every star or planet produced in its motion a peculiar musical note. Okay, there is always a harmony of the universe, the grand harmony of the universe, and angels are said to be listening to the music of the stars, right? But in his motion, like an angel sings, still coyering to the young eyed cherubims. Cherubims are again angels, cherubims are angels. So still singing as a choir to the cherubims. Such harmony is in immortal souls. And such harmony is in immortal souls. Our souls are immortal and they also produce such divine music. But why is this muddy vesture of decay? Muddy, why? Because it is made up of mud, that is clay. Vesture of decay here refers to human body. But while this human body, this muddy vesture of decay, doth grossly means roughly close it, roughly covers it, we cannot hear it. So he says we all have some divine music in our souls also, but we are not able to hear that because our souls are covered by this body, by this muddy body, and it is so closed in it that we can't hear it. But when we listen to music, then only we are able to get ourselves connected to this eternity, this eternal force of music which is there in our souls as well. At that time, Stefano and musicians enter over there. He says, come home and wake Diana with a hymn. So now he requests them to play the music, and in that way, wake Diana with a hymn. Diana is the goddess of chastity and of moon. Okay, with a hymn. Hymn is a song. With sweetest touches, pierce your mistress's ear and draw her home with music. So you play the music in such a way that that your mistress is able to hear it and she comes home. Then music is played. Now Jessica and Lorenzo, who are already there, now Jessica, in a way she clears her doubt. She says, I am never merry when I hear sweet music. I am never happy. I don't feel any sort of happiness when I hear sweet music. For that, Lorenzo says, the reason is your spirits are attentive. Your spirits are attentive. You do not, flow with the music. Your spirits are too attentive to hear those notes. For because do but note a wild and wanton herd. Wanton means mischievous herd. Do but note a wild and mischievous herd. Herd here refers to the group, basically. Mischievous herd, mischievous group or race of youthful and unhandled colt. Youthful means young, unhandled means untrained. Colts are young ones of horses, you must be knowing, right? Young horses. So please observe a group of or a race of young and untrained horses fetching mad bounds, jumping about madly. Fetching means jumping about madly, bellowing and neighing loud, making different kinds of loud noises as the bull does, which is the hot condition of their blood. And why do they behave in such a way? Because it is the nature of their wild blood. Okay, it is the condition of their blood, means it is the nature of their wild blood. But if they but hear perchance, perchance means by chance, but if by chance they hear a trumpet sound, if they are able to hear the sound of a trumpet or any air of music touch their ears, or any sort of music touch their ears, you shall perceive them. Perceive means see them. You will see them make a mutual stand. Suddenly you will see that they all make a mutual stand, they all come to a standstill together, एकदम से एक साथ जो है स्टैचू की तरह खड़े हो जाते हैं. Their savage eyes, savage means wild eyes, turn to a modest gaze. और उनकी जो wild eyes हैं वो एक mild look में चेंज हो जाती हैं. Modest gaze means mild look में चेंज हो जाती हैं by the sweet power of music. Music has such a power, right? So he's philosophizing over the power of music here. Therefore, the poet did feel that Orpheus drew trees, stones, and floods, since not so stockish, hard, and full of rage, but music for the time doth change his nature. Therefore, the poet here refers to the Roman poet Ovid. Roman poet Ovid. Poet here refers to the Roman poet Ovid. Did Feen, he narrated that Orpheus was a Greek musician. Orpheus was a Greek musician that, Ovid has written in his poetry that Orpheus used to draw trees, stones, and floods. He made trees, stones, and floods move. Draw means move, since nothing so stockish, hard, and full of rage. Stockish here means stubborn, hard, and full of rage. Full of rage means fierce. Since all of them are so hard, stubborn, and fierce, but music for the time change their nature. The music will not change its nature, at least for some time, right? The music changes its nature for some time when it is played. The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, concord is the harmony of sweet sounds, वो इंसान जिसके अंदर म्यूजिक नहीं है या फिर वो मूव नहीं होता है, यानी कि वो इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं होता है with the harmony of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons. Treason means treachery. वो treachery के लिए fit है, suitable है. Stratagems means plots, plotting के लिए, treachery के लिए. And spoils means destruction. That person is suitable for treasons, stratagems, and spoils. The motions of his spirits, the motions of his spirit are dull as night. His spirit is as dull as night, and his affections here means emotions, natural disposition जो है, जो उसका nature है, dark as Erebus. Erebus was actually in classical mythology is the home of dead, home of the dead. So that is an area of darkness near hell, right? Let no such men be trusted. ऐसे इंसान पर विश्वास नहीं किया जा सकता. Mark the music. So note the music. सुनो उसको ध्यान से. Okay, so the music is played, and Portia and Nerissa, who are nearby, जो कि अपने घर के पास हैं, they are also, able to hear that music. So Portia says, that light we see is burning in my hall. ये जो light है, ये मेरे hall में जल रही है. how far that little candle throws its beams. ये छोटी सी कैंडल जो है कितनी दूर तक अपनी बीम, अपनी रोशनी को फेंकती है. So shines a good deed in a naughty world. And in the same way, a good deed also shines in this naughty world. Naughty here means wicked world. So actually, Portia is coming after rescuing Antonio from the clutches of Shylock. So in that reference only, she is saying that, if you do a good deed, it shines in this wicked world. The way the little candle is throwing its beam, it is shining, and it is throwing its beam to such far off place. Nerissa says, when the moon shone, we did not see the candle. But when the moon shines, we are not able to see the candle. For that, Portia says, so doth the greater glory dim the less. So does the greater glory dim the less. यही होता है जब हम कोई बड़ा और बड़ा अच्छा काम करते हैं तो वो उससे पहले जो छोटा काम किया था उसको ढक देती है, डिम कर देती है. A substitute shines brightly as a king. For that, she gives an example. A substitute, you can say a kind of deputy. When the king is not there, so he always puts some minister or somebody to act temporarily in his place. So that deputy shines brightly as a king until a king be by. जब तक राजा नहीं होता तब तक वो राजा की तरह चमकता है. And then his state empties itself. Empties itself means his glory vanishes, uh, as doth an inland brook. Brook is the stream of water, a local stream of water into the mains of water. Mains of water here means oceans or सीज. जैसे कि कोई छोटी सी पानी की नहर जो है वो खत्म हो जाती है एक बार जब वो समुद्र में मिल जाती है तो उसका अपना अस्तित्व खत्म हो गया. नाउ इट हैज merged into the sea and it has become the sea. Similarly, a deputy means the person who has been placed into a position for a temporary period of time. He is able to shine till the time that person himself is not there or the king is not there. Once the king is there, then that deputy has no relevance. His glory vanishes. Now, Nerissa, after hearing the music, she says, it is your music, madam of the house. It is the music of your house. Portia says, nothing is good I see without respect. So she says, nothing is good in itself unless, without respect means unless it is affected by circumstances. जब तक circumstances favorable ना हो, कोई भी चीज अच्छी नहीं लगती. Methinks, I think, why is she saying so? She says, I think it sounds much sweeter than by day. It here refers to music. मेरा ही घर का म्यूजिक है लेकिन अब वो मुझे ज्यादा अच्छा लग रहा है because of the circumstances. Why? Because it is sounding sweeter than by day. दिन में जितना अच्छा लगता है उससे ज्यादा अच्छा लग रहा है. Nerissa says, silence bestows that virtue on it, madam. साइलेंस गिव्स दैट वर्च्यू ऑन इट. ये क्वालिटी उसको किसने दी है? साइलेंस ने दी है. इस समय बहुत शांति है इसलिए आपको अच्छा लग रहा है. Portia. The crow doth sing as sweetly as the lark. Lark is a singing bird. Crow, we know, we always count it to be very harsh, in its voice. She says, the crow does sing as sweetly as the lark when neither is attended. And I think अटेंडेड मीन्स लिसन टू. व्हेन नीदर इज लिसन टू. अगर लाख के जितना ही क्रो भी अच्छा गाता है अगर कोई भी ना सुने. एंड आई थिंक द नाइटिंगेल इफ शी शुड सिंग बाय डे, अगर लेकिन नाइटिंगेल जो कि गाने के लिए जानी जाती है अगर वो दिन में गाती होती, when every goose is cackling, when every goose means when every common bird is cackling, is making a harsh noise, would be thought no better a musician than the wren. Wren is again a small bird not having a pleasant sound. तो एक नाइटेंगल को भी हम रेन के जैसा ही मानते अगर वो भी दिन में गाती जब हर बर्ड अपनी हार्श वॉइस में गा रहा होता है. नाइटेंगल इज सपोज टू बी good in its voice because it sings at night. How many things be seasoned are. Now she gives, she further moralizes on that. How many things be seasoned are to their right praise and true perfection. She says, how many things are looked at their high perfection and are fully praised, by the mere fact of their seasoned, of having perceived at the appropriate टाइम. जब कोई अप्रोप्रिएट टाइम पे कोई काम किया जाता है तभी उसको राइट प्रेज मिलता है और तभी उसमें ट्रू परफेक्शन आता है. Peace, silence. How the moon sleeps with Endymion and would not be awaked. Endymion is actually was a beautiful youth who was loved by the moon. So she is just, in a way, she says it is night and the moon is shining. Now, music ceases there. Why? Because they have reached the place and Lorenzo is able to hear their voice. Lorenzo says, that is the voice. और I am much deceived of Portia. यही आवाज है या फिर मुझे गलत लग रहा है कि ये Portia की आवाज है? Portia says, he knows me as the blind man knows the cuckoo by the bad voice. Lorenzo, dear lady, welcome home. Portia, we have been praying for our husband's welfare. हम अपने husband के welfare के बारे में pray कर रहे थे. With speed, we hope the better for our words. And with speed actually, you can say prosper, benefit by, which we hope that they should be benefit by our prayers. Are they returned? Have they returned? She asks about their lords. Lorenzo says, Madam, they are not yet. अभी तक नहीं आए हैं. But there is come a messenger before to signify their कमिंग. सिग्निफाई मीन्स अनाउंस देयर कमिंग. लेकिन उनसे पहले एक मैसेंजर आ चुका है उनके अराइवल के बारे में बताने के लिए. Portia says, go in, Nerissa, give order to my servants that they take no note at all of her being absent hence. Hence means from here. Nerissa, अंदर जाओ और सबको बोलो कि कोई, no note means they appear to know nothing. No note here means they appear to know nothing. वो ऐसा दिखाएंगे कि उनको कुछ नहीं पता है हमारी एब्सेंस के बारे में. नॉर यू लॉरेंजो, जेसिका नॉर यू. लॉरेंजो और जेसिका तुम्हें भी नहीं पता है. ओके, सो अ ट्रम्पेट साउंड्स. लॉरेंजो सेज, योर हस्बैंड इज एट हैंड. आपके हस्बैंड भी बहुत पास में, नियर बाय हैं. आई हियर हिज ट्रम्पेट. वी आर नो टेल टेल्स मैडम, फियर यू नॉट. हम ऐसे टेल टेल्स एक्चुअली इन्फॉर्मर्स ऑफ सीक्रेट्स. हम ऐसे सीक्रेट्स के इन्फॉर्मर्स नहीं हैं. हम किसी के सीक्रेट्स खोलने वाले नहीं हैं. डोंट वरी. Portia says, this night methinks is but the daylight sick. I think this night is only the dim daylight. अब धीरे धीरे मतलब दिन हो रहा है और ऐसे लग रहा है ये रात नहीं है, ये dim daylight है. It looks a little paler. It is a day such as the day is when the sun is hid. ये पक्का दिन है क्योंकि ये ऐसा ही दिन है जब सूरज छुपा हुआ होता है ना, जब when the sun is not shining brightly, when the sun is hidden. So that kind of day it is. Now, at that time only, Bassanio, Antonio, Bresciano, and their followers, they all reach there. Bassanio says, we should whole day with the antipodes if you would walk in absence of the sun. Now, because Portia was talking about the day, that it is a dim daylight. So, Bassanio gives an elaborate compliment on that. The antipodes actually denote the points on a Earth's surface which are exactly opposite to each other. Okay, so Bassanio says that if Portia walks at night, she will illuminate the area with a brightness as the sun does on the other side of the world. जैसे सन जो है, तो अगर पोशिया भले ही एब्सेंस ऑफ सन में चलेगी, लेकिन वो उस जगह को उतना ही इल्यूमिनेट कर देगी, उतना ही शाइन कर देगी. Portia says, let me give light, but let me not be light. Let me give light, मैं आपको light दिखा दूं, but let me not be light. Light here means faithless. Faithless, light in character. For a light wife doth make a heavy husband. Heavy here means sad husband, and never be Bassanio so for me. और मैं ऐसा कभी नहीं चाहूंगी. But God sought all. You are welcome home, my lord. Graciano and Nerissa, they are talking aside. वो एक तरफ खड़े होकर बात कर रहे हैं. Bassanio says, I thank you, madam. Give welcome to my friend. This is the man, this is Antonio, to whom I am so infinitely bound. Infinitely bound means indebted, जिसका मैं इतना कर्जदार हूँ. For that, Portia says, you should in all sense be much bound to him. वाकई में तुम्हें उसका कर्जदार होना चाहिए. For because as I hear, he was much bound for you. क्योंकि वो भी तुम्हारे लिए ही उतना ही कर्जदार हुआ था. Antonio says, no more than I am well acquitted of. Now I am well acquitted of means I am completely free from it. No more than. अब मैं और indebted नहीं हूँ because I have repaid for the gratitude. Portia says, sir, you are very welcome to our house. It must appear in other ways than words. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि शब्दों से ज्यादा ये बाकी चीजों में झलकना चाहिए कि हम आपका वेलकम करते हैं. Therefore, I scant this breathing courtesy. Scant mean reduce, cut short. This breathing courtesy here refers to merely polite words. इसलिए मैं उसको कम करती हूँ. Now, Graciano and Nerissa, who were talking on one side, suddenly Graciano says to Nerissa, by yonder moon I swear, you do me wrong. By that moon I swear, मैं कसम खाकर कहता हूँ, तुम मुझे गलत समझ रही हो. In faith, I gave it to the judge's clerk. मैंने तो वो जज के क्लर्क को दी थी. Would he were, would he were else that had it? For my part, since you do take it, love, so much at heart. काश वो जो है, I wish that he would be here to tell you, because I can see that you have taken it so much at heart. तुम बहुत बुरा महसूस कर रही हो इस बात का. Portia says, a quarrel हो already? लड़ाई होने लगी इतनी जल्दी? What's the matter? क्या बात है? Greciano, about a hoop of gold. Hoop here actually means a ring. About a ring of gold, a patri ring. Patri means of small value. A patri ring that she did give me, जो उसने मुझे दी थी, whose posy was, posy is the inscription, उस ring पर कुछ लिखा हुआ होगा ना, that is the inscription, the words which were engraved on it, whose inscription was for all the world like cutler's poetry upon a knife, love me and leave me not. एक रिंग के ऊपर मेरे से लड़ रही है, जो कि बहुत ही मतलब बहुत ही कम वैल्यू की रिंग है, और जिस पर की जो इंस्क्रिप्शन थी बिल्कुल किसी कटलर की पोएट्री की तरह था कि लव मी एंड लीव मी नॉट. For that Nerissa says, what talk you of the posy or the value? तुम posy या value की क्या बात कर रहे हो? You swore to me when I did give it to you that you would wear it till your hour of death. तुमने कसम खाकर बोला था जब मैंने तुमको वो रिंग दी थी कि तुम मरने तक उसको पहन कर रखोगे. And that it should lie with you in your grave. और वो तुम्हारी ग्रेव में तुम्हारे साथ जाएगी. दो नॉट फॉर मी येट फॉर योर वेमेंट ओथ्स. चलो मेरे लिए नहीं, कम से कम जो तुम्हारी अपनी वेमेंट ओथ्स थी, जो तुमने इतनी एम्फेटिकली जो प्रोमिस किए थे, यू शुड हैव बीन रिस्पेक्टिव एंड हैव केप्ट इट. कम से कम अपनी कस्मों के लिए तुम उसकी रिस्पेक्ट करते और उसको रखते. Gave it to a judge's clerk. No, God is my judge. The clerk will never wear a hair on his face that had it. मुझे पक्का यकीन है कि वो क्लर्क के कभी भी फेस पर बाल नहीं आएंगे, मतलब कि बियर्ड नहीं आएगी, मतलब कि वो बॉय नहीं होगा, मैन नहीं होगा. Gratiano, he will, बिल्कुल आएंगे. And if he live to be a man, अगर वो आदमी बनेगा तो बिल्कुल आएंगी उसकी बियर्ड. Nerissa, I, if a woman live to be a man, बिल्कुल, अगर कोई वुमन मैन बन सकती तभी आ सकते हैं. Graciano, now by this hand I gave it to a youth. Nahi, I gave it to a young boy, a kind of boy, a little scrubbed boy. Scrubbed means short heighted. छोटे height का boy था. No higher than thyself. तुमसे ज्यादा ऊंचा नहीं था. The judge's clerk, उस judge का clerk था. A prating boy that begged it as a fee. He was a very talkative. Prating means very talkative boy who asked me for that ring as his fee. I could not for my heart deny it him. मैं उसको बिल्कुल नहीं मना कर पाया. Portia says, you were to blame. नहीं, तुम्हें blame किया जाना चाहिए. I must be plain with you. Let me be very plain with you, very straightforward to you. To part so slightly with your wife's first gift. तुम अपनी wife के पहले gift से इतनी जल्दी से तुम अलग हो गए. A thing stuck on with oaths upon your finger. वो एक ऐसी चीज थी जो कि तुम्हारी उंगली पर बहुत oaths के साथ, कसमों के साथ पहनाई गई थी. And so riveted with faith unto your flesh. And in this way it was fastened with faith unto your flesh. I gave my love a ring and made him swear never to part with it. मैंने भी अपने मतलब शी इज रेफरिंग टू बेसानियो, मैंने भी अपने लव को, बेसानियो को एक रिंग दी थी और कसम खाई थी, खिलाई थी कि वो कभी उससे अलग नहीं होगा. एंड हियर ही स्टैंड, देखो यहाँ पर खड़ा हुआ है. आई डेयर बी स्वॉर्न फॉर हिम. मैं उसकी जगह, उसकी तरफ से कसम खाकर कह सकती हूँ, ही वुड नॉट लीव इट nor pluck it from his finger for the wealth that the world masters. पूरी दुनिया की वेल्थ भी उसको क्यों ना मिल जाए, वो कभी भी उस रिंग को अपनी फिंगर से अलग नहीं करेगा. Now in faith, Graciano, you give your wife too unkind a cause of grief. Graciano, तुमने अपनी वाइफ के साथ बहुत गलत किया है. You have been very unkind to him that you have given her such a reason of sadness. And it were me, if it were to me, अगर मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ होता, I should be mad at it. मैं तो पागल हो जाती. Bassanio aside, he is saying it to himself. Why, I were best to cut my left hand off and swear I lost the ring defending it. अच्छा होता कि मैं अपना लेफ्ट हैंड ही काट लेता और ये कह देता कि रिंग खो गई उसको बचाते बचाते. Now Graciano at that time he unfolds the secret and he says, my lord Bassanio gave his ring away unto the judge that begged it, and indeed deserved it too. My lord Bassanio has also given his ring to that judge who asked for it, जिसने वो ring मांगी और वो उसको deserve भी करता था. And then the boy, his clerk, that took some pains in writing, he begged mine. उसके बाद वो जो क्लर्क था, वो लड़का जिसने कुछ लिखने में कुछ पेन्स लिए थे, उसने मेरी मांग ली. And neither man nor master would take aught. Aught means anything but the two rings. और ना तो वो उसका लॉर्ड यानी कि वो जज, और ना ही वो लड़का यानी कि जो ये नेरिसा क्लर्क, दे वर नॉट रेडी टू टेक एनीथिंग एल्स बट द टू रिंग्स. वो सिर्फ वो ही दो रिंग लेना चाहते थे. Portia says, what ring gave you, my lord? आपने कौन सी रिंग दी? Not that I hope which you received of me. I hope you have not given that which you received from me. Bassanio says, if I could add a lie unto a fault, if I could add a lie to a mistake, to a fault, I would deny it. But you see, my finger hath not the ring upon it. It is gone. लेकिन देखो ring तो है नहीं. Portia, even so void is your false heart of truth. The same way your finger is void, it is empty of the ring. Similarly, your heart is also empty of the truth. तुम्हारे दिल में भी कोई सच्चाई नहीं है. By heaven, I'll never come in your bed until I see the ring. I'll never be your wife until I see the ring. Nerissa says to Gratiano, nor I in yours till I again see mine. मैं भी तुम्हारी वाइफ नहीं बनूंगी जब तक मैं रिंग नहीं देखूंगी. Bassanio says, sweet Portia, इफ यू डिड नो टू whom आई गेव द रिंग, अगर तुम्हें पता होता कि वो रिंग मैंने किसको दी है. इफ यू डिड नो फॉर whom आई गेव द रिंग, अगर तुम्हें ये पता होता कि किसके लिए वो मैंने रिंग दी है. एंड वुड कंसीव फॉर वॉट आई गेव द रिंग, और तुम ये समझ पाती, कंसीव मीन्स अंडरस्टैंड, ये समझ पाती कि किस बात के लिए मैंने उसको रिंग दी है. एंड हाउ अनविलिंगली आई लेफ्ट द रिंग, और कितना अनविलिंगली, बिना मन से मुझे वो रिंग छोड़नी पड़ी है. when not would be accepted, not means nothing would be accepted but the ring, जबकि कुछ और एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया जा रहा था सिवाय उस रिंग के. you would abate the strength of your displeasure. abate means reduce, lessen the strength of your displeasure. displeasure means anger. तो तुम्हारा गुस्सा अपने आप कम हो जाता. अब बिसानियो उसको समझाने की कोशिश करता है. Portia, being a very witty woman, she also answers him exactly in the same way, the way he tries to make her understand. She says, if you had known the virtue of the ring, virtue is the value, magic power, power of the ring. अगर आपको उस ring की value पता होती, और half her worthiness that gave the ring, या जिसने आपको वो ring दी, अगर उसकी worth, उसकी value आधी भी पता होती, और योर ऑनर टू कंटेन द रिंग, या फिर तुम्हें खुद का अपनी ड्यूटी एज एन ऑनरेबल मैन पता होती उस रिंग को लेने के लिए, यू वुड नॉट देन हैव पार्टेड विद द रिंग, तो तुम उस रिंग से कभी अलग ना हुए होते. What man is there so much unreasonable, illogical, if you had pleased to have defended it, saved it, अगर तुमने उसको बचाने की कोशिश की होती with any terms of zeal, कोई भी जील दिखाते हुए यानी कि डिटर्मिनेशन दिखाते हुए. वो कहती है कि वो ऐसा कौन सा आदमी है कि अगर तुमने उसको बहुत डिटर्मिनेशन के साथ बचाने की कोशिश की होती, वांटेड द मॉडेस्टी टू अर्ज द थिंग हेल्ड एज सेरेमनी, कि फिर भी वो इतना मतलब दैट मैन वाज लैकिंग इन मॉडेस्टी, दैट मैन वाज लैकिंग इन गुड मैनर्स टू इंसिस्ट यू टू हैव दैट रिंग ओनली विच वाज हेल्ड एज अ सेरेमनी, मींस विच वाज सेक्रेड. वो क्यों वही रिंग लेता. नेरेसा टीचेस मी व्हाट टू बिलीव. नेरेसा मुझे समझा रही है मुझे क्या मानना चाहिए. आई विल डाई फॉर इट बट सम वुमन हैड द रिंग. नहीं नहीं, पक्का तुमने वो रिंग किसी वुमन को दी है. Bassanio says, no, by my honor, madam, by my soul, मैं कसम खा के कहता हूँ, no woman had it but a civil doctor, that is a lawyer. वो एक lawyer था, which did refuse 3,000 ducats of me and begged the ring, the which I did deny him and suffered him to go displeased away. उसने 3,000 ducats refuse कर दिए, रिंग ही मांगी, और जब मैंने मना किया, मैंने तो उसको जाने दिया था वहां से. Even he that had held up the very life of my dear friend, मैंने उस बंदे को जाने दिया जिसने who held up means who saved the life of my dear friend, मैंने उसको जाने दिया था. what should I say sweet lady, मैं क्या समझाऊं तुमको. I was enforced to send it after him, मुझे फिर enforced means compelled, pushed किया गया, मुझे compel किया गया उसको उसके पीछे से वो रिंग भेजने के लिए. I was beset with shame and courtesy. Beset means overcome with shame and courtesy. My owner would not let ingratitude so much besmear it. Besmear means stain it. I did not want my owner to be stained with ingratitude. मैं नहीं चाहता था कि मेरा ओनर जो है वो ingratitude एहसान फरामोशी से स्टेन हो. Pardon me, good lady, मुझे माफ कर दो. For by these blessed candles of the night, had you been there, I think you would have begged the ring of me to give the worthy doctor. मैं इन कैंडल्स की कसम खा के कहता हूं कि अगर तुम वहां पर होती तो तुम भी मुझको यही रिक्वेस्ट करती कि मैं वो रिंग उस वर्दी डॉक्टर को दे दूं, बिकॉज ही डिजर्व दैट. Portia says, let not that doctor ever come near my house. उस डॉक्टर को कभी मेरे घर के पास मत आने देना. Since he had got the jewel that I loved, क्योंकि जब अब उसको वो जूल मिल गया है जिसको जो मुझे बहुत पसंद था, एंड दैट विच यू डिड स्वेयर टू कीप फॉर मी, और जो तुमने कसम खाई थी कि तुम मेरे लिए रखोगे, आई विल बिकम एज लिबरल एज यू. मैं भी अब उतनी लिबरल बन जाऊंगी. आई विल नॉट डिनाई हिम एनीथिंग आई हैव. मैं भी अब उसको कुछ भी डिनाई नहीं करूंगी जो भी कुछ मेरे पास है. नेरिसा सेज, नॉर आई हिज क्लर्क, और मैं भी उस क्लर्क को कुछ मना नहीं करूंगी. देयरफॉर बी वेल एडवाइज्ड हाउ यू डू लीव मी टू माइन ओन प्रोटेक्शन. नाउ बी एडवाइज्ड, बी वार्नड हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू लीव मी टू माई ओन प्रोटेक्शन. Antonio says, I am the unhappy subject of these quarrels. I am the unhappy subject of these quarrels. ये लड़ाइयां मेरी वजह से हो रही हैं. Portia says, Sir, grieve not you. You don't be grieved. Don't be sad. Okay, don't feel sad. You are welcome notwithstanding. Notwithstanding means in spite of all these things, despite all these things, you are welcomed. For that, Bassanio says, Portia, forgive me this enforced wrong. Please forgive me this enforced wrong. And in the hearing of these many friends, in the hearing means as the witness of these many friends, I swear to thee, even by thine own fair eyes, wherein I see myself. मैं तुम्हें तुम्हारी आंखों की कसमें खाकर कहता हूँ जिसमें मैं अपने आप को देख सकता हूँ. पोशिया कहती है, मार्क यू बट दैट, लेकिन ध्यान रखना, इन बोथ माई आईज ही डबली सीज हिमसेल्फ. मेरी दो आंखों में वो दो दिखाई दे रहा है. ही सीज हिमसेल्फ डबल. इन ईच आई वन, एक आंख में एक. Swear by your double self. Okay, then swear by your double self, and there is an oath of credit. Again she is taunting him. Bassanio says, "Nay, but hear me. सुनो मेरी बात. Pardon this fault. ये वाली गलती माफ कर दो. And by my soul I swear, I never more will break an oath with thee. आज के बाद मैं कोई कसम नहीं तोड़ूंगा." Antonio now has to interfere. Antonio says, I once did lend my body for his wealth. एक बार उसको पैसे के लिए मैंने अपनी बॉडी को lend कर दिया था. बॉडी को मैंने उधार रखा था. Which but for him that had your husband's ring had quite miscarried. Which but for him, जो कि सिर्फ उसकी वजह से, that had your husband's ring, जिसके पास तुम्हारे हस्बैंड की रिंग है, had quite miscarried. Miscarried means saved. वो उसी की वजह से सिर्फ सेव हो पाई है. had been completely lost. अगर वो आदमी ना होता जिसके पास तुम्हारे हस्बैंड की रिंग है, तो माई बॉडी हैज बीन मिसकैरीड, दैट हैज बीन लॉस्ट, वो खो चुकी होती. आई डेयर बी बाउंड अगेन, आई एम रेडी टू बी इंडेप्टेड अगेन, मैं फिर से कर्जे में आने को तैयार हूं. माई सोल अपॉन द फॉरफीट, और इस बार मैं पेनल्टी पर अपनी सोल रखने को तैयार हूं. दैट योर लॉर्ड विल नेवर मोर ब्रेक फेथ एडवाइजेडली, कि आज के बाद, एडवाइजेडली मीन्स डेलिबरेटली, आज के बाद जो तुम्हारा हस्बैंड है वो कभी भी डेलिबरेटली कोई भी ओथ नहीं तोड़ेगा. तो एंटोनियो एक्चुअली इन अ वे बिकम्स हिज गारंटर. पोशिया सेज, देन यू शैल बी हिज श्योरिटी. गिव हिम दिस, ठीक है, ये उसको दे दो. गिविंग एंटोनियो अ रिंग, और वो एक रिंग देती है एंटोनियो को. एंड बिड हिम कीप इट बेटर देन द अदर, और उसको कहना कि इसको ध्यान से संभाल के रखे, ऐसे नहीं जैसे पहली के साथ किया था. एंटोनियो वो रिंग लेकर बेसानियो को देता है. हियर लॉर्ड बेसानियो, स्वेयर टू कीप दिस रिंग. बेसानियो, बाय हेवन, इट इज द सेम आई गेव द डॉक्टर. ये तो वही रिंग है जो मैंने डॉक्टर को दी थी. पोशिया सेज, I had it of him. Pardon me, Bassanio. Bassanio, pardon me. I have this ring from him. Then Nerissa says, and pardon me, my gentle Graciano, for that same scrubbed boy, the doctor's clerk, did give me this. और वो भी अपनी रिंग दिखाती है कि जो डॉक्टर का क्लर्क है उसने मुझे ये रिंग दी. Now Portia says, you all are amazed. तुम सब बहुत confused हो, right? And she hands a paper to Bassanio, और फिर वो paper देती है Bassanio को. Here is a letter. Read it at your leisure. Leisure means free time. Whenever you are free. It comes from Padua from Bellario. ये वो letter है जो Bellario Padua से आया था. There you shall find that Portia was the doctor, Nerissa there her clerk. इस लेटर को पढ़ के तुम्हें पता चलेगा कि पोर्शिया वो डॉक्टर थी और नेरिसा उसकी क्लर्क थी. Lorenzo here shall witness, I set forth as soon as you. Lorenzo इस बात का विटनेस है कि मैं भी तभी निकल गई थी जैसे तुम निकले थे. And even but now returned, और अभी अभी वापस आई हूँ. I have not yet entered my house. अभी तक मैं अपने घर में घुसी भी नहीं हूँ. Then she says, Antonio, you are welcome, and I have better news in store for you. और तुम्हारे लिए मेरे पास एक बहुत अच्छी खबर है than you expect, जितना तुम expect भी नहीं करते. Unseal this letter soon. Unseal means open this letter soon. जल्दी से इस लेटर को खोलो. Hands him a paper, और उसको भी वो एक पेपर देती है. There you shall find three of your argosies. Argosies are the ships. इस लेटर से तुम्हें पता चलेगा कि three of your ships are richly come to harbor suddenly. They have richly come to harbor. You shall not know by what strange accident I chanced on this letter. तुम्हें नहीं पता चलेगा कि how I got this letter. Okay. Now Antonio reads that and he says, I am dumb. Means I am speechless. मुझे कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. Bassanio, were you the doctor and I knew you not? तुम डॉक्टर थे और मैं तुम्हें पहचान भी नहीं पाया. Bassanio, were you the clerk that is to make me cuckold? Nerissa says, I, yes, but the clerk that never means to do it unless he live until he be a man. लेकिन वो कहते हैं बिल्कुल मैं ही वो क्लर्क थी, लेकिन you could never be a cuckold means you never had a faithless wife, because until that clerk be a man. Bassanio says to Portia, sweet doctor, you shall be my bedfellow. When I am absent, then lie with my wife. Okay, you can be my bedfellow, and whenever I am not there, you can lie with my wife. Antonio says, sweet lady, you have given me life and living. तुमने मुझे जीवन भी दिया और living means of living भी दी. For here I read for certain that my ships are safely come to road. क्योंकि इसमें देखकर मुझे लेटर में पढ़ के मुझे पता चल गया है कि मेरी शिप्स वापस आ गई हैं. Portia says, how now Lorenzo? My clerk had some good comforts too for you. Lorenzo, मेरे क्लर्क के पास तुम्हारे लिए भी कुछ comfort है. Nerissa, ah yes, and I'll give them without a fee. And then she hands him a paper. There do I give to you and Jessica from the rich Jew a special deed of gift. After his death, of all he dies possessed of. तुम्हें ये रिच डीड ऑफ गिफ्ट मिल रही है जू की तरफ से कि उसकी डेथ के बाद जो भी कुछ उसका है वो तुम्हारा हो जाएगा. Lorenzo says, fair ladies, you drop manna in the way. Manna is a kind of divine food of starved people. Okay, actually in the Old Testament of Bible, Jews are described as wandering people in the desert on a long journey. And when they were starving, when they were hungry, God sent them a divine food called manna. Okay, which they found lying on the ground. तो वो कहता है कि ये हंग्री लोगों को तो तुम डिवाइन फूड दे रही हो. Portia says, it is almost morning, अब लगभग सुबह हो चुकी है, and yet I am sure you are not satisfied of these events at full. और मुझे अभी पता है कि तुम लोग अभी पूरी तरह से इन इवेंट्स के बारे में सेटिस्फाई नहीं हो. At full means in detail. In detail में तुम सेटिस्फाई नहीं हो. Let us go in, अंदर चलते हैं, and charges there upon interrogatories. Interrogatories means interrogations. Charges upon oath to answer questions truly. हमसे पूछो तुम्हें जो भी पूछना है, एंड वी विल आंसर ऑल थिंग्स फेथफुली, और हम तुम्हारी सारी बातों का फेथफुली जवाब देंगे. ग्रेशियानो सेज, लेट इट बी सो. ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. वेल, while I live, I'll fear no other thing so sore as keeping safe Nerissa's ring. मैं जब तक जिंदा रहूंगा मुझे और किसी चीज की इतनी चिंता नहीं होगी सिवाय इस बात के कि नेरिसा की रिंग सेफ रहे. And then they exit, and then this way we see the happy ending of the play.